welcome to Zimwaves TV. Here is your breaking news story. In a twist that feels like it was ripped straight out of a Shakespearean tragedy, the War Veterans Association of Zimbabwe, led by Ethan Matabella, has joined the growing chorus of dissent against President Emerson Mnangagwa's 2030 ambitions. This marks the second group of war veterans in just 2 days to publicly declare their animosity towards the president's push to extend his term beyond 2028. Matabella's group has made it abundantly clear that the idea of amending the Constitution to accommodate what they call unfinished projects is neither necessary nor a national crisis. Their stance is simple. Mnangagwa has had ample time to deliver, and any failure to do so isn't the Constitution's fault, but rather the administration's own shortcomings. They've sent a strong message. They will not support the term extension, and tampering with the Constitution for personal gain is a bridge too far. To hear Ethan Matabella in his own words, let's roll the tape. Watch this.
Constitutional limit. A constitution of a country is not just supreme law of the land, but also provides national bearing, which guides a country navigating sometimes treacherous global environment. Any adjustment to this bearing, no matter how small, has far-reaching consequences for the nation and its relations with the international community. We believe any adjustment to the Constitution should be contemplated only when failure to adjust would hinder national progress. Therefore, the first point of call would be to identify the problem that, if not attended to constitutionality, would impede national progress. So we are asking ourselves, what made it or what necessitated the ruling party to want to amend the Constitution? That's where we would want to know. The need to extend President E.D. Mnangagwa's term of office to 2030 or beyond cannot be viewed as a national problem at all. The Revolutionary Party identified the need for him to complete projects he started to legitimize the term extension, but in actual fact, that rationality is an indictment to the party's succession process management. Meaning that I don't think that would justify to extend someone's rule, would justify to tamper with the Constitution. While it is not our place to wade in succession battles in any political formation, it is prudent to jolt ZANU-PF's short memory by reminding them of the reasons why military launched Operation Restore Ligas in November 2017. Operation Restore Ligas was an intervention in ZANU-PF where political temperatures which were approaching a boiling point. It was that intervention that facilitated the resignation of late former President Mugabe. Hence, it was not a coup, in my view, but donozo. It was just to cool the temperatures. But that is subject for another day. It is now the same poor succession management that is threatening to engulf the nation. We would not want to think that it is the president who wants to cling to the throne, as was the case with Comrade Mugabe. For he made it abundantly clear that he was a constitutionalist who would respect the term limits set in the Constitution. In our view, it is the party that is taking the people for a ride. They passed a resolution that is ultra-virus to the Constitution without identifying any constitutional problem. That's where our challenge, some of us find ourselves. because then if they had found a loophole in the Constitution or a problem in the Constitution itself, they were supposed to amend it rather than just coming from the other way around. That attitude by ruling party was already being demonstrated on two amendments already effected on the current Constitution. It would be unfair to just heap blame on ZANU-PF without making reference to the legislators themselves. Our legislatures are obliged to uphold the Constitution, including making sure that it is clearly understood by the people. The need and importance to publicize the Constitution was realized at outset.
Meanwhile, Vice President Constantine Chiwenga has added fuel to the fire with his own cryptic yet pointed remarks. Speaking at a recent event, Chiwenga subtly reminded those in power that selfishness and dining with corrupt individuals are not traits befitting of leadership. While he didn't name names, the timing of his comments couldn't be more suspicious. With Mnangagwa's allies trying to rally support for the 2030 vision, Chiwenga's words feel like a calculated shot across the bow. Could the vice president be staking out his own position in what is quickly turning into a political minefield? Don't just take our word for it. Listen to what Chiwenga had to say. Here's the clip.
We fought for a total Zimbabwe, fought for all its wealth, the minerals, the flora, the fauna, its cultures, its heritage, its identities, its beliefs. Indeed, we fought for its rise as a soaring great nation. The wartime call urged us not to be greedy and selfish, not to be corrupt and egocentric, or to be narrow-minded and tribalistic. We all swore to a shared future in which everyone had a place on the table, a place in the sun for a culture of equal opportunity where every Zimbabwean served in equal measure. Zveubvanzu kudya kwemhumhi takazviramba. When our president says, leaving no one and no place behind, he is reminding us of this wartime covenant. A covenant we must all live by across generations, starting and including our very own.
The timing of these events is as awkward as it is telling. In just 48 hours, two groups of war veterans have come forward to reject Mnangagwa's ambitions. This once loyal base, a cornerstone of ZANU-PF's political power, now seems to be pulling away. It's not just an embarrassment for the president, it's a full-blown crisis of credibility. Critics have been quick to point out the irony of the situation. The very people who once fought to secure Mnangagwa's rise are now the ones calling for him to step aside. One social media user quipped, "If the war vets are against him, who's left? The guy driving the Zupco bus?" Another added, "Maybe Mnangagwa should focus less on 2030 and more on fixing the economy. At this rate, there won't even be a Zimbabwe left to lead." As if that wasn't enough, the opposition is seizing the moment to pile on the pressure. A prominent CCC member was overheard joking that if Mnangagwa continues alienating his own allies, the opposition might not even need to campaign in 2028. However, this situation is anything but funny for Mnangagwa's camp. The president is now stuck between a rock and a hard place. If he backs down on his 2030 ambitions, it will be seen as a sign of weakness. If he pushes forward, he risks further alienating not just the war veterans, but also other key factions within ZANU-PF. This political drama is playing out against a backdrop of widespread dissatisfaction with the state of the nation. From crumbling infrastructure to a faltering economy, Zimbabweans are asking, what exactly has been achieved since 2018? Supporters of the 2030 vision argue that extending Mnangagwa's term is necessary to complete critical projects. But for many, these so-called projects are nothing more than pipe dreams. Even the much-vaunted Zupco buses have become a running joke, breaking down faster than the promises they were meant to symbolize. And then there's Chiwenga's role in all of this. His remarks about selfishness and corruption feel less like a warning and more like a statement of intent. Is he positioning himself as the heir apparent, or is he simply trying to keep Mnangagwa in check? Either way, his comments have added another layer of intrigue to an already explosive situation. As the 2030 debate rages on, one thing is clear. The road to 2028 is looking increasingly treacherous for Mnangagwa. His 2030 vision, once a symbol of ambition, is quickly turning into a political liability. The War Veterans Rebellion, Chiwenga's cryptic warnings, and the public's growing frustration are all signs that change is in the air. The question now is whether Mnangagwa can weather the storm, or if this marks the beginning of the end for his presidency. Stay tuned to Zimwaves TV for more updates on this unfolding drama. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because the next chapter in this saga promises to be even more gripping.